Oh, welcome to Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live. So happy to have you with me today. And I do have my coffee. And I have with me today, a little bit past 3 p.m. on the East Coast. And I have with me today, I think, a very appropriate with what's happening guest. And it is literally somebody here who, how do I explain this? Somebody who's running for chair of the party at a time where it's very challenging to be running for chair of the party. I want to bring on, if I could, the man himself, Mark Rutherford. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Larry. How are you? And I have my coffee too. This is great.
Here we go. We are rocking and rolling. That's awesome.
We're doing that.
So let me ask you, Mark, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things you've done in the past.
Yes.
Let me ask you, why are you running now?
Well, for one thing, I do care about the Libertarian Party. I've been involved with it. Been a member since 1996, a life member soon thereafter. I've been working on it. I was state chair of Indiana for 7 years. I've been national vice chair for 2 years. I've been on the LNC for, oh my gosh, you had it all together, 6 or 7 years during the course of my activities since 1996. And I do have what are the skill sets that are necessary and needed for being a chair of a national party. I just named a few of them there, but I'm also been the chair of the Indiana Public Defender Commission, appointed by Republican governors to a spot that used to be held by Democrats. They figured out they could put me in there under Indiana law, and they do.
Wow.
So, I mean, I've been chair since 2008, on it since 2007, and I'm dealing with all types of people, all types of factions, all types of interests, and everybody gets along great on it. It's a really good group to be with, and everybody works together despite our differences. We know how to work together despite the differences.
So you feel like not only is now the time, but
yes,
you feel like you're the right person to, in your words, kind of repair the party. Is that true?
Yes, I am. I can repair the party. I've done this. I've run so many different types of meetings. I am a 30,000-foot person. That's how I've approached the Indiana Public Defender Commission, how I approached being the Indiana State Chair. It's been more difficult with the national party for various reasons.
Sure.
And believe me, it's a hard thing to do. It's hard for groups to do this and do it successfully. But what you do, and to repair the party, is you have to have a Libertarian National Committee. That's a national board. It's a board. It doesn't run everything. We're big enough. We have been strong enough. We should have staff to run what the LNC says is the 30,000 picture.
So let me move to that level if I could, right?
Yes.
Everyone's talked about staff, good and bad. Everyone's about money, more and less. Everyone's about volunteer. We all talk about that and making the changes. But there's a lot to fix, a lot to worry about. What's the priority? Like, what do we fix first? Is it get money, which gets us staff? Is it get staff, which gets us money? Is it fix the culture? Right? Where does someone begin in this situation?
You have to start with a little bit of all three, but the key thing, the most important thing, is you've got to start bringing the money in so that you can start developing the staff. You also have to do by your actions, by the chair's actions, by telling the LNC members what they should do, in your opinion, in my opinion, as an LNC member, which is not micromanage, it's to give direction and then see if the direction is followed. And to do those things that help move the party forward, which in my mind is the national party, and I'll just say this right off, the national party has been the center and too important for too long. It's very important, but to me, the states are more important. The national chair should be helping the states, and this helping the states get their candidates, get them the materials they need to do the best campaigns possible, get them on the ballots, and to get the counties, the townships, the parishes, all the different units out there for election organized so that they know how to get their candidates reaching voters in a way the voters understand. And that's what the national party should be as a priority more than anything else. It's not about the chair. It's not about the Libertarian National Committee as much as we helping the states do what they need to do with our national position. And every position has its advantages, all of them have some of their disadvantages, but the advantages are that the national party can oftentimes get bigger donors. It has access to areas that aren't as strong. It can get a lot of training, lots of contacts. If you have the right people in the Libertarian National Committee, you have not only the 30,000 vision, but you have people, when a staff member or a volunteer says, how do I do this? You go, call so-and-so. I've worked with them in the past. So,
So what I'm
these are your
hearing,
parents.
so I'm hearing you're saying kind of all of them, but again, I'm going to be a little bit of push though.
Yes.
To me, and I'm always about the money. I'm guilty as charged. I'm always about the money. I want to raise the money. I think money's critical. It's always about the money. It becomes challenging if we don't have the infrastructure or don't have the cool candidates or don't have it to raise the money. Do you think there is another way that will get? In other words, what brings the donors back? How about that? Maybe that's
What brings the donors back is showing that you're, first of all, you have to communicate with them well. You have to have a message that they see resonates with voters and other people. So you bring in more donors and more supporters. And as a lawyer and a litigator, I do this all the time. I try not to talk in the way a lawyer talks. And with my training through so many years of education, college, law school, I try to put it in a way where people can understand what I'm saying as simply as possible, in a way that's pleasant, not repulsive, and gets them to go, aha, maybe I should listen to these people a little bit longer. And you do it step by step. And what I do with jury trials and with trials before even judges who are getting factual situations that they may not have dealt with before with lots of expertise, I'm trying to get them to learn piece by piece where I think that this is the good way to go. And that's what you have to do. So there's so many things that have to be done, but you have to develop the infrastructure, but money helps get you there.
Yes.
And a lot of
Absolutely.
libertarians are afraid to ask for money. You have to ask for money. You get a little bit of money, then you can do a little bit of other things. But you also
so let me now do that now if I could.
Yes.
If you're liking what Mark is saying, you can give him money. I'm going to ask for the money for him. You can head over to Facebook if you want to. On Facebook, it's Rutherford 4, the number 4, Rutherford 4 Chair LNC. You can go check him out there, see what he's doing, see what he's talking about. And if you like what you see, you can always give him some money, because we do always need money. That's for sure. Right. And if you don't have any cash, you can support him by sharing what he's doing. Share what's going on if you want to. Awesome. And also click the like button right now. The like button right now, what you're watching, click that like button. It really does matter. So, all right. So we're talking about that. Can I grab some comments? We've got some comments already, Mark. Can I grab a couple?
Yes.
All right. One of them is a very basic one. And that is, Joe has a bunch. What is the purpose of a political party? That is a very basic question.
Well, the purpose of the political party, and it's through the, you can have some disagreement on exactly what it is, but it's essentially in my mind, is to get people elected or appointed to political office so that we have a seat at the table. And believe me, my seat at the table at the Indiana Public Defender Commission means that I get a lot of things done that wouldn't be done but for me having the ideas. And you see light bulbs go off. Well, that's a good idea. It's based on my libertarian philosophy, but would not be there but for me raising that. That's one of the purposes, is to get people appointed. Primarily, I think elected is very, very important to get them in there. And I see it in Indiana. And we have 7 or 8 elected officials. We have, I haven't counted in a while, but we probably have 10 to 15 appointed officials. And it's amazing what they say and what they've learned that they can get done, because they say an idea that no one else had thought of, and everybody goes, that's a great idea. And it gets done. And that's wonderful. So, we're slowly changing this to more libertarian government in Indiana. It takes a lot of time, but it's happening.
Let's go. Michael Voss is an interesting question. He's how he read what you said. He said, so your focus is building infrastructure. What about publicity? And this is a big thing, right? People care about, are we getting on debate stages? Are we getting commercials out? Are people seeing us on Twitter or Facebook or whatever is the thing? Clearly, if we want to get our candidates elected or appointed, publicity is going to matter, right?
Infrastructure leads to publicity. Infrastructure leads to money. Infrastructure leads to a better culture. Infrastructure allows you to get to where you need to go so that you can do the publicity. And one thing about a national party is there's some publicity it can do. But I've learned this over my years, and I've seen it over the course of my whole life. And that is, what works in Indiana may not work in New York. And there's good reasons for it. There are some cultural differences, expectation differences, priority differences. That's why I go back to the states. The states know that better than the national party usually. We can do stuff that's okay, but we have to be able to work and train and help give the states what they need and what they want to be able to go out and do what needs to be done. And to me, the publicity, and I see this in the other political parties, they're oftentimes it's the candidates that are going out there and giving the
Yes.
message out there. And
Yes.
they're the best person because they're on the line saying, I will do this job if you elect me.
Right.
Here's my publicity, and here's what we're talking about.
There we go. The big deal that's been happening, I know, is Donald Trump is now coming on. It's going to be speaking at the convention. You've already said that you have posted something, a statement.
Right.
But if you want to either read that statement or post or let me know, the Lunatic Libertarian says Donald Trump at the convention. ... Thoughts.
Well,
you want to speak on that?
Yeah, and I have it on the Rutherford for LNC chair page on Facebook, and it just came out today and this morning. And basically, it's not appropriate. He is the Republican candidate unless something really different and unexpected and unusual and never happened before, or at least not for not for 100 years at least. He will be the Republican candidate. And our convention is about the Libertarian presidential candidates. I feel sorry for them because they're working hard. And whether you like them or not, they are all working hard and all have opinions that are good to listen to make decisions on who's the best candidate. And now it looks like that Trump is going to be there. Is that overshadowing them? No, he should not be a part of it. It's about the Libertarian Party. It's not about publicity or Trump or anything else that people are saying out there that it might be about. We need to be focused. Our bylaws, our practices all say that the convention this year is primarily two things. One, or it's several things, but the members can change the bylaws. The members can select who the officers and the at-large and their regional representatives will be on the Libertarian National Committee. And they get to choose who is our presidential candidate and who's our vice presidential candidate. And that needs to be the focus, and that's what's most important for it. And that's what I believe our bylaws and our rules and our standards and practices over the years require. I'm not for Trump being speaking on it, and I have to be blunt about it.
No, it's fine. Absolutely. Of course, you should feel as you feel. Of course. I'm going to give what I'm sure people are going to say, so let me just do it. They're going to give you pushback and go, hey, but wait a minute, Mark. If we bring Trump, don't we get more publicity? Isn't that a good thing? Don't we want publicity? Isn't that what really matters? And then people will see us and then we'll be able to give our words out. Isn't that the natural pushback?
No, because are we the Republican Party? Are we the Trump people? Are we for Trump? Are we for what he's saying? It confuses voters. And it's already, I'm hearing reports out there. I talked to one state chair today where he's already getting some confusion about, but what are you? I thought you were Libertarians. Why are you having somebody like that there who's running, who's essentially assured of the Republican nomination when they do the convention this summer? And so it just gives a very bad impression. If you want publicity, there's an awful lot of people, some that might be somewhat controversial, but they won't confuse the voters. And they would go, oh, this is really nice. This person's speaking there. Maybe he likes the Libertarians. They're not thinking that with Trump. They're thinking Trump's trying to get votes or trying to get support or trying to say he's a libertarian, which he's not.
So if I'm clear, what your stance is, you're not against non-libertarians being there or speaking. You're against someone there who is literally the nominee for another party. Is that, am I reading you correctly?
That's correct. I mean, you have to be careful who you have other people there. When the person who was the head of the, I forget, is an environmental group, noted for being mostly socialist, although he was fairly libertarian himself, spoke, there was a lot of controversy about that. And this was, oh my goodness, this was probably 14 years ago. But so even somebody who is not saying I'm running for office, but is representing an organization that's a little bit, some libertarians would not like at all or have some problems with, it was very controversial. But it's not confusing saying that we were thinking he should be the presidential candidate or we think you should listen to him. No, not at all. So non-libertarian speaking can be good. It can be a way to reach out to people. But if it gets in the way of the purpose of the convention, which is nominating our presidential candidates and the other purposes I talked about, then it's not a good idea and it shouldn't be done. It should be well thought about.
Okay. Understood. Russ asks, how would he propose creating and or marketing an LP identity? For example, D identity is women who are caring and having manners. Our identity is brash, two-way, and patriotic. What would an identity for LP look like under his leadership? Brash
Well,
and patriotic won't work.
yeah, I
That's
mean,
good.
you can do that by what you think, what you say, but more importantly, as if you're chair of the Libertarian National Committee, you're organizing the Libertarian National Committee. And if when you're chair of a committee, there's going to be decisions you don't care about, but your fiduciary duty is to help get it implemented, get done what needs to be done to do that. So you always have that. To me, the best way to get identity out there is to support the state. So help the state support the counties and the parishes and the townships, etc., to run candidates that show our identity. These are people who aren't pathetic. These are people who aren't brash. Now, and when I say those terms, I'm talking about the most stringent, the most offensive of those words. You have to have self-confidence. You have to show that you know what you're doing. You have to have, I have a vision. You can't say things that upset people, other than they may be upset with government. You can say that, but you can't do things that are designed to make people feel uncomfortable about what you're saying, that you don't know what you're doing, that you're just trying to entertain yourself and other libertarians on social media. You can't do that. A political party, the national party, the state parties, the county parties, etc., their job is to get voters to say, we want you to help run government. And in our position, we want government not to be as big, nearly as big, and to be run much better at the minimum.
So let me move then to, I guess, another piece, which you've kind of brought up, kind of. Is there a chance or a real way of kind of healing the party, if that makes any sense, right? People have talked about it before, right? There's been a lot of infighting these last couple of years. I mean, tons of infighting. We all know that. Lots of infighting these last couple of years. There's always infighting, but I think it's been harsher these last couple of years than it has been in the past, at least since I've been in the party since 2012. That's all I know is from 2012. And I remember in 2016, in my view, again, that's my only window. People have been there longer, have a different window. Mine is 2012. In the 12 years I've been here, in 2016, I felt like we were closer or more united than ever. I feel like Gary Johnson's 2016 run got us as united as I'd ever seen it. And we weren't united then, but it was the most united that I'd felt, at least. Since then, I've seen it kind of tail off from there, and I feel it's really bad now. Am I wrong? And is there a way of healing?
Well, it depends on where you're at. Indiana is pretty united. Now, we have people who have disagreements, and there's disagreements at meetings, etc. But everybody likes to talk with each other afterwards. Not everybody, but almost everybody. It does work. And the way it is people, we have good leadership right now. We have Evan McMahon doing a great job as state chair. We've had great state chairs before him. My 7 years was designed getting the people to act as a team, to work with each other, to like each other. That doesn't mean you agree with each other. It means that you can resolve conflicts in a respectful way. You don't call people names. You don't yell at people. You do say some things privately that may be a little direct, but you don't do it publicly in order to embarrass people. What you do.
So hold on, wait a minute. What you're saying is the second I'm upset, I shouldn't go on Twitter and start scolding people? What?
Bingo.
There we go.
That's not being a good person. That's not being a likable person. When I was on the Libertarian National Committee in the early 2000s, I had dinners and lunches and would talk with lots of people, and we were on different sides of the table on lots of things. But we ended up liking each other. At least that's what I think we all did. And we had disagreements, and sometimes we change each other's minds. I've gotten some grief for nominating a couple people who people thought, well, they're not like you. And I went, but they'll be good for the LNC. I can work with them. This is fine. That's what you have to understand, is that once you realize that we're all libertarians, that you treat each other like you're good people. And going after people and saying they're not good, attacking them, is just the wrong way to do things. And look, we're way behind. Maybe if we get number 2 or number 1 as a party and electing people, maybe it's more appropriate to go attacking other people. You see it with the other 2 major parties all the time. Although I consider ourselves in some states to be a major party in the way we get things done. So you just have to be better at treating people who were trying to do the same thing. And you don't belittle or attack or make fun or mock people publicly. You don't do it privately that much. Sometimes it lets off steam, but you don't do it in a way that it's going to get people who don't know what's going on thinking they hate each other, they don't like each other, they can't get along. I mean, you're going to have fights in affiliate.
So you're saying that the healing part for you is basically setting the tone.
Yeah, you set the tone.
If I get it right. Is that what
But
you're
also,
saying?
sometimes you have to set the tone by saying that's an inappropriate comment. You shouldn't be saying this at this meeting. That the chair has to be basically say, but the chair doesn't say it. You're awful. You're a horrible person. You stink. You don't say that. You just say that's an inappropriate comment. Please don't do that.
Okay. Let me ask. Paula brings up a very specific question. I hope you're okay with this one.
Sure.
She says, we need Black women in the LP. I am so committed to this idea. We are missing out on a large part of U.S. population whose voice we need. Now, I don't want to be specific on Black women, but I do think her point of, getting out, the vast majority still of the LP is still white men. That's still the majority. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say aren't. Of course, there are Black people. You're looking at one of them. Of course, there are women. Paula's one of them. There are, but the vast majority still is white men. And I think she has a point when she's saying that. Is there a place for the LNC to work on that? Is there a place for the National Party to try to make that better? Or is this just we keep talking and we hope? Is there something to do?
I'm all for that. I've been talking about this for years. I've seen it. I've seen people, not many libertarians have done it, who have reached out to traditionally majority Black churches, for example. They'll go there, they'll talk to people, and they learn what I've been seeing and what others see, and that is there's a large number of libertarians in Hispanic populations and Black populations, all types of different populations that we're not reaching out to, and we've got to do a better job of that. And can the National Party do that? Yes, if you get the structure going well, people working together, have the money to do it, those are things that you can work on, and part of it is talking to the states about how to do it. And I can't think of his name. It's awful. I think it was from New Hampshire. Did this in the early 2000s. He would go when he was at a Libertarian National Committee meeting. Sometimes he'd go to a Black organization and talk to people, and he'd get a great reception. Yes, those are people that vote. They're a large segment of the population. We need them voting for us because we are what they want, but they don't see us. A lot of them don't see. I mean, I'm a white male. They see too many white males. They need to see a wide variety of people in our crowds, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. So there is one. What I'm hearing, a consistent theme I'm hearing with you is we've got to support the states. We've got to let the states be able to do this more and more and more. Am I reading you right?
You're reading me right about what has to be done and what needs to be done. I mean,
okay.
I call it the 3 M's though. You've got to have money, you've got to have messaging, you've got to have management, you've got to have that at the national level, and you've got to help the states do the same thing.
So you have a fan here. Danny says, I've worked with Mark. He's a very professional and competent leader. Hashtag rebuild with Rutherford. Is that your hashtag, or did Danny just make that up?
Danny Lundy did that himself, but I've worked with Danny over the years quite a bit. He's very active in the state of Indiana, very successful. He's been appointed to 2 or 3 different offices over the years because of his hard work. He's very respected in his town, a little community in Indiana. Not little. I mean, it's a good size town.
I'm in New York City, so yeah, it's little.
Yeah, New York City. Yeah, compared to New York City, it's just about between 2 subway stops. But it's a nice town. Yes. It's a great town. Surprisingly good restaurants there. People from Indianapolis drive there. It's close enough to do that. But he gets out and does it and talks to people. And he talks to people in a way that they can understand what he's talking about. He's not trying to upset voters. He's trying to tell them what's good about what he believes in a way they can understand.
So 2 parts I want to bring up, and they're related because Mike just asked a question. He says, what is your relationship with major news media, especially on the national level? If none, how would you develop it? Now, before you answer that question, I want to bring it together. And what I mean by that is very often in the Libertarian Party, because we don't often have popular candidates that are running, the press looks for our national chair to speak versus a candidate, right? Other parties, they often ask the candidate or the sitting congressman or the sitting senator, whatever, they ask that person to speak. We often don't have that. So they very often ask the chair to speak instead. But what I'm hearing from you is you want to be more towards the states, you want to support candidates, and you want to be basically a nicer guy. You want to set the tone. How does that match, or does it not match with the idea of you being summoned, because that's the norm, to be on national media to speak for the party because they don't think they have an appropriate candidate?
That's one thing a national chair must do and must accept and do it. And you can do that. I'm talking to you right now, and I'm on lots of Indiana media. I have been for years. So I'm used to that. I just talked to a national media person who has relationships with all types of people today, who I've worked with for years. The problem is getting them to start calling us. They do occasionally, and I'm ready for that because I'm very used to being on TV. I'm used to podcasts. I'm used to radio. I'm used to all types of things about.
I'm sure you could do it, but I think the question Mike had is, do you have good relationships now, and will you cultivate them, or will you not and say, I don't want to be doing it. I don't want to cultivate these. Let the candidates do it. Or will you say, no, I do want to cultivate it. I know you can. That was, I was bad at my question. My question was, do you have good connections now? And do you think it's appropriate or a priority for you to even do that? Or should that just be candidates?
I have some connections, and I have people I know who have greater connections than me that I think we can work. I think that's important for a national level, is to get some of the free publicity you get from there. Right now, the priorities, though, is to repair the Libertarian Party. But you do want some of that, because some of that can help you get donors. It can get you people going, oh my goodness, this is great. So you do have to work on some of those things. There's no perfect, I just do one thing or a second or a third. You've got to do several things, but you have to have a priority on which ones that you focus on the most as you try to get things back to where they need to be.
Well, you have another fan. Elizabeth says, Mark is great. The LPIN is the best state affiliate in the nation, in large part because of Mark. Oh, look at that. You have fans.
That great. That's nice of you to say that. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that greatly. Pitting affiliates is not the best way to do it, but looking at success is, and right now Indiana's having great success. They just moved to a new office. Beautiful. I was there for their opening. Lots of conference space, lots of their office space is great. They're moving forward and getting through all this. And over the years, we've learned to work together as a team. Doesn't mean we don't have our disagreements, but we know how to handle them better to move things forward. The Libertarian Party of Indiana is doing great. But I've been to a couple other states, and I know other states, they're doing great too. But Libertarian Party of Indiana has a lot to brag about.
Dennis has a very, I think, a question that most people, I think they see the problem here. And he says, the LP is a motley crew of social liberals, conservatives, Christians, atheists, minarchists, anarchists, with incompatible visions for the party. Is it really possible to align everyone to a shared purpose? This is a tough question, Mark. I mean, I think a lot of people would ask this of you and say, hey, we're all these things, right? How do you possibly put us all together?
You can. There's a lot of commonality in there. I can't get everybody on the same page. That's impossible. That isn't. But what it is if you're not going to work to move things forward and be a good person and to do things and to get other good people involved and to help to do things that you're good at and do some things that you're okay at, then I don't want you working with us. I'm not being exclusive. It's just like you're in the wrong place. You need to go somewhere else where your skill sets will be actually beneficial. So one thing I've noticed, because I grew up in politics, and some of my earliest memories are at political functions when I'm 2-3 years old. So I've seen it and I've observed a lot. And you have to have some political instinct about how to work with people and get messages across. Or if you're not good at that, you have some instinct. Like I know one person, best door-to-door person I've ever seen, but he doesn't like doing any of the other stuff. So guess what he does for all the candidates? He goes door-to-door and does a great job. I mean, that's a great volunteer.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. It makes a lot of sense. So guys, if you like what you're hearing, then you can support Mark, by heading him to his Facebook page. It's Rutherford 4, the number 4, chair LNC. The link is on the Facebook page and also on the YouTube page. If you want to see what he's doing, please check him out if you want to. Absolutely. I appreciate that you guys caring about this. You guys who are libertarians for sure watching. Those of you aren't, you get to see some of the stuff that's going on in the Libertarian Party. I think that's awesome. So is there anything that, well, let me ask that's the last piece.
Yes.
I think what people are really worried about here, which is this is our presidential year. And a lot of people are worried that the Libertarian Party National is not going to be able to support the candidate very much. It's a worry. They're scared, right? Oh, we don't have money. Or, oh, we don't have infrastructure. We don't have this. They're worried. How can the LNC, or should it even, whichever thing's appropriate, support specifically our presidential candidate, obviously, but other things too?
Well, one of the things we do have to do as Libertarian National Committee is to help the presidential candidate, the vice presidential candidate. If you don't have money, you can't do it that way. You have to figure out other ways to do that. And I'm looking at the people running for the position right now for president of the National Party. And many of them have the teams and the activity where they will have good campaigns. And I'm very pleased to see that out there. And the odds are that's one of them that has the teams and support staff. There's many. I'm not saying which ones are and aren't, but there's many.
I know you've got to stay neutral now. I know you got to stay neutral. I totally get it. No worries.
Well, that's the thing. I'm totally neutral on it, and whoever the convention picks, the members could pick as chair. I would be supporting that candidate whether they're my favorite or not. But the job is to do the best job possible with that candidate.
So I think you won David over. David said, "Great answer, Mark. Move the party forward or get out of the way." There we go. I like that. There we go.
That's how I have been. That's what we've instituted in Indiana. We're kind about it, but if you're not willing to do the work, we tell you you're in the wrong place.
So we do it as nicely as possible. Fan here. Mark says a lot of libertarians don't understand normies. LP of Indiana and Mark Rutherford does. He's the man we need to lead our party forward. You have a lot of fans. I like that. That's
good.
Great.
It's nice to see. This is wonderful. Yes, thank you all.
There we go. So let me ask you then, have I missed anything? Is anything that I should be bringing up, something that I should have talked about that I missed?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, we could talk for hours on that, but that doesn't make sense. We've hit the broad general outline, and I think that's good. I think it's very good. I've got the background, the experience. I've been working with the Libertarian Party even before I became a member. First did anything with them in 1980, but it took me a long time to decide, yeah, this is where I'm going to put my focus in. It took 16 years, but I've been involved and very focused ever since then. This is the national party, as long as it would be a national political party that gets candidates elected and appointed. That to me is the whole goal. And here's the other thing. We have something about education in the bylaws, etc. That happens if you run good candidates or get them nominated or get them appointed. We're teaching how to be a good elected or appointed person. That's invaluable to society.
There we go. All righty. I will wrap it up with Missy. She says, I say go Rutherford, win. There we go. I like that.
I like that too, Missy. Thank you very much.
There we go. That's good. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in understanding what Mark stands for and what he's trying to achieve. If you want to find out more about him, please head to his Facebook page, Rutherford, the number 4, chair LNC. I'll be back on tonight at 7 p.m. and probably tomorrow night, but we'll see. I will see you all very soon.